I never thought in my entire childhood my life would turn this miserable, all because of my sister and my parents. Oh, I was wrong. After being ignored and affronted a child all my life, I suffered from severe inferiority complex and then ended up with low self-esteem and lack of vanity. My sister, Medla, was the most beautiful and talented person in the house, always being praised for her success and beauty. My sister has an immense fair complexion that's perfectly increasing her beauty. She has elongated hair that's complementing her personality, and whenever she opened her hair, there was this aura of her hair in the air. On the other hand, I wasn't the one who has the fair complexion, and I was the complete target of discrimination in society. My weight started increasing after I turned 16, and due to the anxiety or overthinking issues, because of this discrimination in my family, I started eating a lot of stuff. And the worst part is, my parents at some point wanted me to be jealous of my sister. And one day, well, they succeeded in it. Our parents all the time adored her for every little reason, whether it was just a good cup of coffee made by her. On the other hand, one day, I decided that I'll be the one who will make everything. Make the tea for my parents, and maybe I can start getting the affection of my family. Maybe I can fulfill my inner desire by making a cup of coffee for my parents, and I can get their affection that every child craves for. I went into the kitchen and asked my sister if she can go outside and I'll make the coffee for our parents. She started mocking me while seeing me with her judgmental eyes, quote, "You know that they're not going to like your tea, and you know that I can't stop trying." So, she left the kitchen, and it was utterly abysmal, for the way that she carried herself and her personality was a mixture of toxicity and time. I ignored her remarks and started making tea for my parents so there would be room for affection for me as well. I prepared tea in a way that everything on the tray is representative of the way it should be. My parents were sitting in the lounge and having some healthy discussion about political discussions. I was a bit interested in politics, so I barged into their conversation while holding the tray. Do you know where the elder people are talking with each other, and you shouldn't do this? But how can you understand this fact because you're not like your sister? You have a lot to learn from her. My heart was broken again into a million pieces, and I was devastated. I managed my emotional conflicts while standing there. I was just trying to hide my internal pain, so that all my efforts will not go to vain. I told them I've made the tea for them, and they both just stared at me wide-eyed. My father demanded that he'll only have tea if my sister makes it. When I insisted at least give it a chance, he started confronting me. Tears fell from my eyes, and I slumped down in my own pain from my father. It was irritating by my presence as my mother. She took a tray from me and threw it away. There was the thrust of loud noise, and I was petrified. She did not even want to see me and prioritized my sister over me in all scenarios. I screamed and ran into my room while cursing myself in the visions of the others and my parents. I, as a younger child, never got the same level of appreciation. She was always the center of attention of everyone, whether she was at school, college, or at home. My sister always tried to grab all the charm, tried her level best to make me feel low in front of my parents. She always did something that made me feel ashamed of myself. She always wanted her to remain the favorite daughter of the bunch. From a very little age, all the bullcrap began when our parents started comparing us with each other on every minute thing. It was not easy for me to get mad, but my parents, over every minor action, they didn't have an idea that in all the dang process they made me hate and get jealous of my sister so heavily. As we all know, that when a person has the same feeling being bottled up inside him or her all the time, then they have to come out one day. But when they came out, then there's no way back. The same happened to me. One day, there was an exhibition competition at the school. We were really excited about it as we both have taken part in it. I was in junior class and she was my senior. Though my project was easy compared to hers, but evenly difficult for me at that level, we both gave our 100%. but undoubtedly, she was an extraordinary student. She used her talent and skills and won the competition in the whole white school, getting first place. I was in third position. As soon as we came home, it felt like not even a single little person was waiting to hear about my success, but only Medla. She told everyone about winning the competition so excitedly that no one even bothered to ask about me. I was so disheartened and felt little in myself, but I remained quiet and I kept that inside of me. She was so happy and gave me a cunning smile and then said this: "Look, no one even cares about your happiness. I don't even allow anyone to be attracted to you." After listening to this comment, I started yelling at her because she was going out of the way, and I have to speak for myself at some point. I told my parents that she used to pass these heinous comments against me and I simply can't tolerate it. But what happened to me after this is unbearable and totally devastating. My mother walked right up to me and slapped me in the face hard. She started yelling at me in the way that everyone in the house was listening, and I was just ashamed. Everyone was watching the whole drama that's been created by my sister, and instead of confronting her, my parents were yelling at me. Such incidents used to happen a lot of time, and my parents repeatedly make me feel worthless as compared to my sister. Sometimes I also said that should not be done to me. All that really hurts me a lot, but my parents had no effect and they always used to do the same with me. One day, I was in a good mood and the weather was a little cold, and my cousin Jim also came to our house. So I decided to make tea for everyone and went into the kitchen. I made that tea and thought having cookies with it would be a nice little combo. I went to the room to grab it. After coming back, I just poured the tea into cups and served it. As soon as Dad took the first sip, he said, "What have you made? Is this tea? You call this tea? You need to learn some household stuff from your sister because she knows how to do it. Otherwise, you don't need to go into the kitchen." Well, his words really hurt me to the core, because if he really wanted to make me learn something, then he can normally say it, but he compared me with Medla, of course. I was happy that this time at least he was ready to accept my tea, and he showed a willingness to drink the tea, but it also turned out the most horrible drink of his life. Jim was sitting there in the drawing room with my parents, and he seemed perplexed. It seemed that something was going on in his mind, and he wanted to say something. But something went wrong. Suddenly, he placed his cookie on the table and said, "When you went into the room behind her, Medla came into the kitchen. I saw that you made the tea for everyone for her own by herself, but then I also saw Medla add something to it. Actually, Jim used to like me for a very long time, but did not confess it to me till now." When Jim said all that, my parents started yelling at him. "Oh, who is you to blame our daughter like this?" And they told him to get out of their house. All that added an emotional pain, and my pain was increasing every single day, just like you're filling the whole tank with water. And I know one day there's going to be a flood in that thing, so you can't stop it. As I know that Medla can do something like this to degrade me in front of my parents, she was also behind something that will create a family drama for me, and it seemed all preposterous for her. Once we had a casual dinner at my place, my parents had invited all the guests. My gut feeling already triggered me that something's going to happen. As soon as one of the guests started talking about the success of his son, that he got a full scholarship in college, it was only later that my father also started admiring my elder sister. All of a sudden, he came over to me and said, "There's nothing special to tell you about her, because she's never done something great in life. Never raise our heads with this pride." He said this, and I felt a fire inside me flaring up. I went to my room, locked the door, and started throwing everything that was coming to my hand, not even thinking for once that I could also hurt myself in this mess. I was shouting like hell. Why always me? Why all that used to happen bad to me? Am I not human like you? Sure not. That's why you always treat me like this. I was completely unconscious and broke almost everything in my room. Why are you always comparing me with Medla? Why did Dad embarrass me in front of everybody? From that day, I started getting even more jealous of my sister and thought that she's the only reason whom all that happened to me. When all this happened, an uncle in the guest was observing the situation and could not hold his tongue, and told my father this. You should not do this to your younger daughter. Praising your one daughter will make the other one low, would not make you cool and a bad father. This is so difficult for her to face, and all that at this little age. Please try to stop yourself from doing that. He also gave them the warning that if they do this to their daughter one more time, it would not be good for them. My parents did not even bother listening to his advice, and they simply let the matter go. Such events happened many times, and almost everyone started noticing their behavior towards me. They started telling me, parents, not to behave like this with their daughter. As Medla was loved by everyone, then she also found a man who used to love Medla so much and cared about her. Joseph, Medla's boyfriend, was good-looking, intelligent just like Medla, and also rich. The man who has the perfect jawline that complements his personality, and the one who used to wear spectacles while reading, and his aura spared everywhere when someone saw him like this. He had a huge house with a lot of servants and a successful business. My parents liked Joseph a lot because he was really rich and good-looking. They started idolizing their relationship in front of me. My dad, while admiring them, said, "Look at them. I feel like they're made for each other. You should be jealous of your sister, as she's having a rich man who can fulfill all her needs." Well, no doubt their couple was really beautiful. They looked perfect together like Barbie and Ken, and Joseph was wealthy. But there was no sense in comparing them with me, but Dad, as usual, did that. After completing their studies, Medla and Joseph decided to get married and have a happy life with each other. So they both talked to their families about it to get their approval. Everyone said yes, as everyone wanted them to be together. Time passed and the wedding day came. Everyone was really excited about it. Everything was all well prepared, as it was my parents' favorite daughter's wedding. So of course we're going to go all out. All the guests arrived. I was also there with my inferiority complex in my mind. When everyone was busy with their stuff, then suddenly a voice came from the microphone. "My beautiful daughter. Mom always loved you a lot." The voice belonged to none other than my mother. My mother had prepared a speech about how lucky she is to be called a Medla's mother and wanted to deliver it in front of everyone. "Medla, you always held your head high with pride. You always had achieved success in every field of life. I'm so proud of you, my daughter." She proceeds, and every guest was listening to her, and meanwhile, my uncle was also there, who was observing the way that she talked and her real intentions. She was almost so busy praising Medla that she suddenly came over to me and started saying this. You look at your sister and see how triumphant she is? I feel so blessed to be her mother. You also should learn something from your sister about how Medla used to make us happy. I don't know how she'll have a good life partner because she doesn't even have good looks, and she's fat." My mother went on, making uncomfortable and embarrassing moments in front of everyone. I tried hard to control myself, but could not hold it and started yelling, "Why, Mom? Why? Enough is enough. Don't you even think before speaking what you're going to say?" I was devastated, and now's the time to tell you the whole truth about the world that my parents are, the true representative of hypocrisy in front of the world. It's time for them to realize that what they had did with me the whole year is something they should not do. At last, one of the uncles stood up and told her to stop all that nonsense. He walked up and confronted my parents so angrily, grabbing the microphone, speaking his mind. "What is this behavior? Can't you see there's guests here in front of you and you're just rubbish about your daughter? Now, I'll tell everyone here about the reality of how you used to treat your daughter. They always dealt with OP in a very disrespectful way. They never loved her as their daughter and always made her feel left out and awful about herself. She used to perceive that she's worthless and not worthy of real love. I've never seen any parents like them who used to humiliate their daughters like this. How shameful it is to be a part of this family. Jim was also there. He jumped into the discussion and told Joseph's parents that Medla also used to plot evil plans against OP and made her parents angry with her. Joseph's parents were seeing all of this, and after listening to my uncle and Jim's words, they became shocked. They came to my parents and said they wanted to rethink the decision about Joseph and Medla's wedding. Because if her parents are like that, then maybe in the future, it could be possible that she'll also try to degrade or humiliate us in front of our son, Joseph. They said that and left the wedding hall. After a few days, my parents got a call from Joseph's parents. They've broken the relationship with them. They said they don't want to contact with any family, which is the true reorientation of hypocrisy. My parents remained speechless about what really happened to them and started regretting everything. But it was too late. Guys, I just want to point out, I think Medla and Medla's parents are the most form of toxic parents you can possibly be. Let me know your thoughts about this story. I'm just glad karma came from Medla at the end of the story, and now she's no longer getting married to a rich man. Let me know your thoughts of this story, guys. Drop it down below. I want to say thank you so much for tuning into this video. If you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and click that button. What are you waiting on? I drop videos every single day of some of the most soap opera drama-worthy stories. I would love to see you there, guys. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow.